Welcome to another episode of the Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. We're excited to be joined today by Bruce Jordan, the MJ of Hotels, for September's edition of Hospitality Hot Topics. Welcome to the show, Bruce. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. You bet. So to kick it off, I feel like we do this every month, but there has been another purchase in the hotel industry. OYO Hotels is set to buy Motel 6. David, what do you think about this one? It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's another interesting transaction. OYO is one of those companies that I don't think many people in our space know that much about. I was very surprised. I was on a trip in India in 2019, and I was driving past some very suspect buildings that had the OYO flag on it or signage. But yet they have a big property in Las Vegas. So I think this is another one of those interesting acquisitions. What do you think, Bruce?
Listen, I somebody is going to see some declining review scores. That's for sure. OYO doesn't have a general manager on property. Like, they have an area general manager that visits each property and try to do the inspections and everything. So it's a tough sell. I'm surprised they was able to get Motel 6 for so cheap. Like, only $500 million. That's pretty cheap.
That was my first thought, Bruce. It was $525 million for the sale, and I thought that was a little cheap. It seems like they're trying to grow their U.S. presence. Is that what you're kind of seeing too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the best way to do it. Might as well just do an acquisition and, try to help build your brand off of for their brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And also what's come out this month is that the travel industry has set a new record for the global GDP contribution. This coming off the heels of, post-COVID, revenge travel, bleisure. So, Bruce, what are your thoughts on the industry and where it's at today and globally, how it's rebounded so strong?
Man, it's amazing that revenue numbers has increased past pre-COVID, but the real issue that everyone's having is just as high as the revenue numbers are going, the expenses are increasing even faster. So they're making record-breaking numbers, but they're also having record-breaking expenses to go along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was pretty excited to see this come out. Travel and tourism definitely becoming one of the powerhouse industries this year, up 12.1% to $11.1 trillion in 2024, making up 10% of the global GDP. The industry is expected to support nearly 348 million jobs in 2024 compared to 27 million in 2023. So jumping almost over 300 million jobs in a year, I think is absolutely insane. And man, we got to officially say travel is back.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We got a series of states and towns that's doing housekeeping strikes. What's weird is that it never happens in like these little small states. Like you don't hear about housekeeping strikes in Boise, Idaho. Yeah. It's always in these big, huge conglomerate states and big cities. David, what do you think is going on with the housekeeping strike, and why do you think they are striking?
Well, I think as we just talked about kind of record-breaking, numbers in the industry, you're right. I mean, the revenues are there and the numbers are there. The expenses are increasing, but I think what's had to happen is to attract these workers, they're having to increase the wages. And I think the properties that aren't doing that, a lot of these unions especially are stepping up and trying to make sure and do what's best for their employees. I mean, you can be on both sides of the fence. You can either love or hate the unions. But at the end of the day, I think if the two sides work together, I think we'll eliminate some of these strikes. If we can, actually get a fair wage to some of these workers that are, a lot of them are minorities, a lot of them are women, a lot of them are, it's a very, very tough job, as we know, being an XGM. So it's interesting, but there might be more to come. What do you think, Steve?
You read my mind. I feel like this is kind of the tip of the iceberg that we're going to start seeing. I know we've been talking about labor shortage and kind of making the work environment better for hoteliers. So I think this is kind of not the first domino, but one of the earlier dominoes to fall. We got 24 cities in this. Like you said, Bruce, it's big cities. We're talking New York, San Francisco, LA, and over 10,000 workers are now, leaving, not leaving, but what's the right word here that I'm looking for? Not boycott.
Exodus, one of those things.
Sure.
They're getting out.
They're getting out. But thank you. So, but one stat I did read about this, which is encouraging, is by 2027, unions are looking to pay around $35 an hour. Whereas right now, I think we went up to around, housekeepers got an increase from around 15 to about 20. So, an extra $15 an hour in a few years is going to be great. And then a stat that I read that I think we're moving in the right direction. 86% of hoteliers have increased wages in the past 6 months. So I think, we've had the discussion, things are getting going, but I think this is, just kind of one of the first dominoes to fall before we see a little bit more of this.
Yeah. And this leads right into our next one, which is worker burnout and employees. I've been there. I lived on property. I work 6 days a week. I was getting up at 7 a.m. and getting to I lived on property. So I was getting in my room at 8, 9 o'clock at night. So there's a combination of burnout and there's a combination of lack of training in our industry that's going on right now. So you've got this, which can be deceiving that, hey, I don't need housekeeping. So maybe I don't need, people are denying housekeeping, or hotels are making an option. So you need less housekeepers. But I mean, the grind is real. When you open a hotel, you throw away the key. It's open 24/7. So what do you think, Bruce, about everyone being burnt out and people craving more training?
Well, from a housekeeper perspective, a lot of his design flaws, man. They just keep throwing this stuff in his room, and they getting these designs are becoming more elaborate, and then they're not giving out more time. So they have all this stuff that they have to clean, and they still have the same amount of time to clean it, which really doesn't work. And for the front desk, it's so much turnaround, and it's happening so fast that by the time you got someone trained, they're quitting on you. So it's a catch-22 on both sides of the fence.
I agree, Bruce. And kind of on that technology note, excited for kind of these newer technologies to come along to help housekeepers. And I think AI is going to play a huge role into that, but help them speed up how quickly they can clean rooms. But to this article, I was shocked. 47% of hoteliers are experiencing burnout. I thought it was going to be like 70 or 80, to be honest with you, with labor shortages that we've had over the past couple years. And, how many times do we hear about GMs that are, working extra hours just to clean the rooms? So I thought 47% wasn't bad, but then they said another stat was 68% of hoteliers knew their team members were experiencing burnout. So maybe people don't want to confess it. They're burnt out a little bit, but definitely can see it. But then I also saw this 64% of hoteliers left their role because of burnout. So those ones that got burnt out, I think they're gone, and it's going to be really, really hard to get them back. So, David, you said it. We need to do a better job of training, dealing with mental health issues and also the well-being of our hoteliers. So I think you were dead on with that one. Now, to something a little bit more positive, another list of the world's 50 top hotels came out. The Capella in Bangkok was the number 1 hotel, and the top U.S. hotel was the Carlisle in New York, coming in at number 30. USA didn't even crack the top 25. David, what do you think here? Any hotel that really excites you?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of lists that come out each year. There wasn't one particular hotel, but like you brought up, 4 out of the 5 hotels, I think number 1 in Bangkok. There's a ton of international hotels, which just kind of shows you that probably the 3 of us need to travel more outside of the US to go see those hotels. So there's really nothing that surprised me on there. There were some names I didn't recognize, but I love these lists. They just really kind of give you something to look at, to think about, okay, if I'm planning a trip, I want to leave the US, where might I go? And so I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a great list. What did you think, Bruce?
Man, I was surprised that like 4 or 5 of these hotels were in Bangkok, and I'd never been to Bangkok. So I'm like, man, I think I'm missing out. Like, they must have some incredible, amazing service over there, because they were just filling up the list. I couldn't believe it.
Absolutely. We'll have to all go to Bangkok one of these days.
Nice. Next on the list, we have Jason Kelce as a Fanbassador for Marriott. I guess when you can't get Taylor Swift, you have to go with the brother-in-law. What do you think?
Man, there's been a big discussion if we're getting sick of the Kelce brothers. I'm not there yet. I am not there yet. And I love Jason. I think Jason is hilarious. I understand why he's a brand ambassador. I'm a football fan, not an Eagles fan, but I love watching Jason on broadcast footballs. And, he's just a character. He came to announce a football game and forgot a shirt. So, the guy is a character, great personality, and just one of those guys that I could listen to a lot. Just a positive, fun guy. David, Philadelphia guy. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, but what do you think about Jason Kelce being?
Hold on. I think it's incredible because look, the guy knows how to talk to people. You look at the Super Bowl parade. He wore a Mummers outfit. He backed up his coach. He does a great job on the podcast. Him and his brother are very natural. But what's really, I think, cool about him, he just appeals to just the football fan and the way he played. And he wasn't a wide receiver or quarterback. He was a center. So when's the last time? There's some centers that have been on ESPN and things of that nature, but nobody who's been kind of in the forefront like he's been. So I think this is great for football. I think it's great for Marriott. And I think it's great for travel because I think you need more people than Taylor Swift making people go out there and travel. And the NFL is one of those unique sports where people, because it's 17 game seasons, people travel to these other cities to see games. Whereas, like here in Phoenix, people who live in Phoenix who are from California or Philly or Minnesota, they'll go to a game, but for the most part, people don't travel to LA to see their team, a baseball team or even a basketball team. So I think this is great for the industry.
I love it. And I'm going to put out some wishful thinking here that more hotel groups or single hotels are just going to use podcasters as their Fanbassadors. So anybody that wants to use MGF Hotels or the Modern Hotelier as their Fanbassador, let us know in the comments below.
That does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier Hospitality Hot Topics. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Bruce, for being our guest, and we'll see everyone soon.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a guest or sponsor that would be a good fit, feel free to email us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. If you'd like to get some Modern Hotelier merch, click the merch button on modernhotelier.com or click the link below. Thanks and have a great day.